Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Nerds of Legend. I am Ben. Next to me is Joel and Missy, and a surprise appearance by Miss Lizzie. And then below me is Brendan. So, a couple things before we get started. Just reminder to check us out on Thursdays with our new D&D campaign, DM'd by Will, as well as we'll be covering. I can't remember what Viking thing next Monday. Oh yeah, the weird stuff. Yeah,
all the weird stuff in
made out of body parts in Norse mythology. Yeah,
the overall weirdness of the Norse myth.
The fingernail hair boat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the fingernail hair boat. The copious quantities of killable, consumable, resurrectable creatures.
Yeah.
The gods made of spit.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's the stuff that really just stands out of the high screen.
Yeah. It's like this is that guy had way too much of those weird mushrooms or something.
Yeah, this is where they show like they were really into herbal medicine.
Yeah. All right. So with that, let's get into Legendborn by Tracy Deonn. Melissa, this was your pick, so you get to do the recap.
Do you need the stopwatch going? It's like every other YA book you've ever read. Thanks for stopping by.
So this was our book talk. So super popular. It follows 16-year-old Bree Matthews as she gets invited into a early college prep program, and she goes to UNC Chapel Hill, I believe, and then her first night there experiences a demon attack or dragon attack.
Yeah, basically a demon attack, just something paranormal.
Shadowborn.
Yeah.
Some sort of attack, and then it kind of opens her eyes to this other world, and so she joins this secret society to try to get to the bottom of her mother's death. And it follows her as she competes in these trials to become a scion or whatever
A scion, yeah.
Squire.
Yeah.
To the future king. So it is a very, very, very typical YA story, but there are some really interesting points to it. It's modern day retelling of some Arthurian legends and really draws on that. So it's fun. It's not high think. There are really I really appreciate it. As someone who read a lot of YA, it's always young white girls who don't really know, stumble into being awesome and bite their lips a lot, and so to have
bite their lips a lot.
Yeah.
Which boy do I pick?
Yes. So to have a person of color as the protagonist is awesome, right?
Yeah.
And so you have
Definitely some different.
There was no lip biting.
Yeah.
There was no lip biting. So I really enjoyed that, but it was fun. I would love. I know, Ben, you didn't care for it, so do you want 3 minutes to just go for it now?
So I complained about this book a lot, and it took me a while to I just couldn't put into words why I didn't like it. It was just there was so many. It's just, and it's probably just because it's your typical YA thing. So I was just tired of it. And then what I realized is I was talking to Joel one day, and I was like, you know why? I think I realized why this book doesn't make sense, because there's a lot of shit that this girl was doing that I was like, this is not 16-year-old behavior. This is what I realized was I'm pretty sure this book was written as a 20-year-old, and then they decided in editing, make her 16 so we can mark it as YA, and then but they didn't.
If it fine at 19, it would still be YA.
Yeah, but
That's how Kramer was.
yeah, but it was it was this is freshman in college behavior. This isn't 16-year-old girl behavior.
100% agree.
Yeah,
And I think we've Joel and I talked about it. I think you might have been on the phone. It's
Yeah.
like, it's all so creepy. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like,
How is this like 16-year-old able to just kind of like do whatever the fuck she wants all the time? I was like, yeah, I get it. It's an early college program, but there's no like, when you're in one of those, you're in like fucking like lockdown. You don't just have your run of campus. You don't get to just like
partying with everybody. And
yeah. I was like, where's the chaperone? Where's like the supervision? Because they don't just let minors walk around like that at a school.
Well, what lazy bartender is like, you can come into the bar, obviously 16-year-old girl.
Yeah, no 16-year-old I know, no matter how good the fucking fake ID is getting into a fucking bar and ordering drinks.
I don't know if a single 16-year-old, no matter how mature or developed they are, passes for a 21-year-old.
Right.
Well, I think that, like, a part of it, like, again, goes into, like, at least my understanding of that is, like, you know, like, she is this other, right? She's the only black, like, person or person of color outside of, like, I forget what that other girl was, but
Alice,
like, you know, not Alice. There was someone else.
Oh yeah, she was like half Puerto Rican.
Yeah. So like, there's one other. So then you have
but not in the college.
But you're going in. You're with these people. They're not questioning everyone. You know, like they relied on a lot of the fact, like that, like
they're with them. She's with them. They must be cool.
Yeah.
But also, like she's like black, so you can't really ask her, or you know, like they just kind of let a lot slide because they didn't want to, like, you know, be like, you know, racist or whatever. Which, you know, and she calls out throughout the book, like, what the fuck do you mean? Like, you know, very like she's very.
I found so like I was worried that this book was gonna get preachy, and it actually towed the line really well. It didn't go overboard on doing that. I think it was trying to tell that sort of perspective in in a way that didn't come like that wasn't distracting from the plot. But
and I thought it was really authentic. Like,
it was really well done. Yeah.
Especially like the parts about her hair, right? Like that is, and I've had
what the fuck? Why'd you touch my hair? Like, fuck off. Keep your mitts to yourself. Yeah. And like
I've had those conversations with, you know, people that I've worked with or friends, like, where they're like, yeah, people always try to touch my hair, like, you know, like, hands off, right?
Yeah.
Like, my hair is not this novelty that you kind of like go up and like pat. And I've actually had the opposite where, you know, I had some friends who were the only like white people in classes that were primarily diverse, and so like she was the one who was getting her hair pet because it was so like soft, and she was like, I never took the moment to like think about how that feels when you go up to someone, and so it felt really authentic. I thought it was awesome, and like I said, I've read a lot of YA, so to have, you know, a person of color and have her be
not
strong,
a caricature.
Yes, like strong protagonist, a little bit of the Mary Sue that you don't like, but like, you know, like strong enough that she stands on her own.
I don't think she started out as Mary Sue, just very, very, very combative in the beginning.
I got really annoyed. Yeah, her behavior at like up to like the midway point of the book was just infuriating. Like, I get it, you're in mourning of your mom, but like, it was beyond like stupid. Like,
she was angry constantly, and that after Bree that she kept talking about. First off, anybody listening, there's going to be a shitload of spoilers. So normally we say that at the beginning. Sorry to bring it out. We will ruin every nook and cranny of this book.
Yeah.
That being said, back to After Bree. After Bree was kind of like what she seemed to lump in all of her negative emotions.
Right. That she was like hiding behind a wall.
Yeah, of anything, but it was of anything. Somebody would say something she thought was racist, After Bree would handle it. Somebody would deal with something that would make her feel challenged, After Bree would handle it. Like, and she didn't really have any kind of control of it whatsoever. And she was, in the beginning, it's actually a little difficult. Like, you're like, this girl is fucking annoying. Like, she gets up in arms about.
It's very authentic because she's
later.
Control.
Yeah.
No, but reflecting on it after, like, in the beginning she's angry, she's out of control, she's trying to find some sort of meaning and sense.
But she's also that snotty smart kid
Yep.
who's like, I got to college and I'm 16.
Yeah.
You know, like I got to college early and I was the smartest person, so everybody around me is
Never had to try in class. Didn't have to.
that kind of
Didn't
thing.
never had to study.
Right, so there's a lot of hubris of like the young, yet to be out in the world.
Yeah.
And so she thought she had everything figured out and everything had handled, and all she had to do was just deal with the fact that racists are everywhere and that her mom passed away. Which, by the way, massive bit of things to deal with.
Yeah.
And then she finds her first day that now demons are real.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
okay. Like
demons must be the reason. Like, and she does have a reason to think that they're involved, but like,
demons are real, and children are telling the police what to do.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
another big one too.
Yeah. Like Cell's just like whatever. Like
Cell is awesome.
Yeah.
Like, Cell is like, he gives zero fucks. I love
Yeah.
Cell.
he was like, she just like her like hatred of him was just like so like, he didn't do anything to you. You just showed, actually he did, but like he just like, you just showed up out of nowhere and like this dude and like freaked the fuck out of this dude, and he's like, she's resisting this, you know, trump card of the mesmer where you can like basically rewrite somebody's memories or make them forget stuff. And it was just like, she's able to just like resist it on accident. And then, so he's like, the fuck are you?
Yeah. He was pretty anime.
Mm-hmm.
I sort of framed him.
I kept seeing like this, just like,
Yeah, just like the any anime where the guy with glasses like speaks in small, you know,
That's the gesture. The middle.
no, they all do the pushes up glasses. Yeah, it's a meme.
they're all very erudite, and they all speak in very concise sentences, and they all like know everything, and they think they know everything, and that sort of. My Hero Academia, there's a character like that. Neon Genesis, the dad, Gendo is like that.
Yeah, they push up the glasses with their finger, and it makes their glasses flash, and that's them being like, I'm a badass nerd.
to be fair though, you guys are all wrong.
Okay.
Actually,
Please explain why we're wrong.
He is recent. He's Reese.
He is Reese.
He is
Yeah.
dark.
Oh yeah, that's totally. I was like, what the fuck? I was like,
and just close his eyes in pain.
yes. I saw the fuck. I thought I was reading an ACOTAR fan fiction for a little bit. Like, it just hit the same like notes. I know it didn't, but it's like,
Nobody sheathed themselves, and there was no.
Yeah.
How many times can you be wrong in a conversation?
I don't care. I felt like there were so many parallels to like.
How many times can Ben be wrong?
There were just so many times where it was just like, there was so many parallels to like ACOTAR, like the story beats of like finding the power, and you've got tall, blonde, and dreamy, and who's got an anger problem, and then but you've also got dark and mysterious guy who's like some
Also
like
has an anger
who's
problem.
standoffish, also has an anger problem.
That's just tropes. In general. Like,
So what I understand.
I cut you off. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm saying it's like just a very tropey like book.
They're very adjacent to anime trope like character types. I was telling Ben when we were discussing this beforehand, I thought of it in terms of like a magical girl anime or as a CW show.
Yeah.
And I think with that mentality of
You just hit both of your things.
I'm
She's
not
going back and watching all of like the Vampire Diaries and shit right now.
I'm telling you, I got in that mindset and it really helped.
I'm concurrently watching Vampire Diaries and Vanderpump Rules. So there you go.
Yeah.
How is he?
I'm stuck into Vanderpump Rules, and I realize it is a cesspool of human garbage. that
It's
I
like
can't stop asking questions.
it's like Pulp Fiction. My girlfriend's a vegetarian, so basically I'm a vegetarian.
Yeah. My wife watches Vanderpump Rules, and now I worry about these server sluts running around this weird restaurant. What are they doing? Each other. They don't have time to work, but they have time to bone. Like, I don't know how this lady makes money.
Missy said it best. Like, go in knowing it's YA. there are certain assumptions you need to make, and you sort of need to prep yourself for that. I liked it because it forced me to think of YA from a different headspace. I've read YA in the past. My favorite in high school when I was YA age, my favorite was a book called Feed, and that and other YA books I had read were from either the male gaze or the love triangle white female gaze. They were very Caucasian centered, or they were high concept sci-fi and didn't really think of a cultural perspective. And I had to sort of read this and understand it from the perspective of someone who was different than me. And so that layered upon a YA book. The hair thing, I've dated a woman of color in the past, and I had to learn a lot of things about not getting hair wet and like when you can actually go out and like, oh, I'm not going out in that and that sort of thing. But I never realized that they had to deal, people of color had to deal with people walking up and touching hair.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
These are perspectives that are new to me because this book, the protagonist is a person of color. So I enjoyed.
There are actually still states where it is illegal for women of color to wear like their hair like in dreadlocks or like their natural hair. Like there are laws in place still on this book in the year in the year of 2023.
That's so asinine. Like I can't.
That your natural hair is still like
outlawed.
Yeah.
Is it actually like the law's still on the books, but is it still like enforced?
Some places, yeah.
What
there's
the
some,
fuck?
Is it laws or is it
called the Crown Act, which is looking to like repeal all these?
Yeah.
There are places where it is still in practice and enforced.
Jesus.
I just couldn't imagine that. Like,
But back to your point, like it helps you kind of conceptualize that.
Right.
Yeah.
I thought it was done from gracefully. It was done from an honest perspective. It could be very easy to be full of indignation and hatred and anger for being mistreated. And I thought that the perspective of a person of color having to deal with this sort of thing was done in a way that I felt safe, like reading it and learning from their perspective, and it didn't feel hostile to me.
Yeah.
It was very informative.
Yeah. Also, the frequency of like the little microaggressions that she had to deal with, like people walking in being like, "Here, go ahead and take my coat," and they're like, "She's a page," and they're like, "Did you look at her?" Like, absolutely not.
Yeah, or like that Vaughn guy who's like just like super aggro about it, or like saying, or like, "Oh, affirmative action, here we go."
Yeah, and like what was really funny is like the entire setup of this thing was. Like, as you come along, you find out not only is the order, like, deeply racist, but it's also misogynistic. Like, how are women here, you know?
Yeah. I thought it was funny how would have been funny is if you would have found out that Vaughn's dad was that sheriff that was, like, an asshole.
That would have been funny. Did you two watch the BBC Merlin show?
I did not.
Okay.
I've started like
Dragon Underground.
Yeah.
Yeah. And King Arthur was blonde, and he was a bit of a Chad, and
but he was also dumb.
Yes, yeah. I loved that show in college, and there was a ton of hate mail and vitriol being thrown around because Guinevere was cast as a person of color in that show.
Yes, she's black.
All I could think about was this had a lot of Arthurian legend in it, and she had to deal with all of this BS because of her race. This made me think of that BBC Merlin show, how that actress had to feel being cast as this great character and having to deal with all this hate online just because she was a person of color. And I was like, this brought me back to that, because I'm like, oh hey, I get the Arthurian legend, I get that, and I get the YA structure of the secret society. Like Colleen watched this, I think the live action Winx Saga show on Netflix, and
oh wow,
I didn't watch all of that either.
It felt like that a little bit, but I'm like, okay, like I see her headspace. I can see the indignation that she has because she's very intelligent. She has abilities and is in the secret society. She's lost her mother, and she has to deal with all this BS on top of it. I realized, you know what? It's very realistic. I would have been just as cocky and just as angry as she was. But I thought, you know what? Realistically, she handled it rather well, and that was actually not.
Yeah, in hindsight, you did.
Yeah.
And there was no vengeance. Like at the very end, which
was so mad.
It was like a big
cliffhanger ending. God damn it!
At the very end, where you find out that there was a lot that happened in that.
Shit's finally happening, and then no, but we're not done yet. It was not wrapped up in a nice little bow.
Yeah, there at the very end. This is the biggest spoiler of all of it, but she's following Nicholas, who's believed to be the scion of Arthur, and then when he comes to pull out the sword, he's not. Turns
that
out
was wild.
8 generations ago, Nick's mom, the female of the line, decided to get it on with her dad.
With Lancelot's line.
Yeah.
Lancelot's line.
Yeah.
And
come to find out that the guy who's like the scion of Arthur was fucking around with his slaves.
Decided to have his way with a slave who then ran away.
Yep.
Okay, but let's just go back to matrilineal lines make more sense because
not if you're chauvinists.
You can prove that this one
came from there.
There's a visible connection.
Yeah.
Like a literal visual connection. Yeah. Like when it comes out with the umbilical cord still hanging on, you're like, that line literally goes to her.
Yeah.
Is it tropey? Is it coincidental? Is there a lot of things where you're like, oh, this gentle father, JK, he's the bad guy.
That was another one. The guy who seemed to be decent the whole time was like, just kidding, I've been bringing demons around so my kid will get a job.
That was I could see that twist coming from a mile away.
Honestly, her becoming the scion of Arthur, you saw that happening.
I was like, oh, fuck.
You're a root crafter, and then you're a blood crafter.
I still love that.
Yeah, you're all the crafters. You're the avatar. I get it.
I love that swerve though because in a lot of Arthurian,
even though you know it's coming, it's still super fun.
Yeah. So many Arthurian things the Guy Ritchie did a Arthur movie, the Disney King Arthur cartoon. I mean,
which is the best cartoon, just so you know.
I love that movie.
The best one.
Yeah. I will defend that movie to the ends of the earth. So a lot of times the sword out of the stone is very cut and dry, very expected. And I was like, you know what? A lot of Arthurian legend, Lancelot gets it on with Guinevere, and there's some side action that pisses off King Arthur. That would be so cool if.
Fuck!
It's so satisfying.
Yeah.
For that,
one thing,
but it wasn't him. It wasn't them. Ben was,
which was so much better.
Yeah. Triangle, and I'm like, well, what do you kind of expect if this is loosely based off?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing that was great is YA ACOTAR, Ben's absolute favorite.
Yeah, there was no sex in this.
Okay, I wasn't talking about the sex stuff. I was talking about the story.
We read your posts. It was really gross. The Reddit, how do they get it out in ACOTAR, and the pictures you drew. It was horrible. But anyways.
You said you were just reading fan fiction.
Yeah, not writing it. Anyways.
I hate you both.
What's great, though, is typically in YA, at least the ones that we have had for this podcast, we've read, I don't know, Discovery of Witches is YA, but it's got the wide discrepancy.
It's adjacent,
vampire banging a 30-year-old, which at least this one's got a doctorate, so I mean, that was okay.
Yeah.
But then ACOTAR, a 19-year-old girl who just stumbles in and accidentally kills a fairy creature. And this 500-year-old fairy lore is like, you're taking penis now. She's like, all right. And then she finds an even older one who's like, more fairy penis? Sure. And it's just uncomfortable with the fact that there's these century-old age gaps in between.
Yeah.
It's creepy.
Sometimes 10 years feels like a century.
Is that what you're saying?
Steve.
How proud you are.
And she's like, finally they're off.
They're leaving me alone, yes.
Yes. So, anyways, Missy's an old man lover, which is gross. So,
Yeah,
to me, it's just weird, and that is why it's fundamentally weird, because it's the women with old men. Old men that like younger women are cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's what society says.
Yeah, I don't. But even like
So
the age gap
dumb.
in this isn't that big, but it's still really.
She's 16.
She is 16.
Well, isn't he also the early? Isn't Nick also or the early entry?
No,
thing?
he's a junior in college.
No,
Oh.
second or third year.
Oh, he is?
So he's like
Never mind.
18 or 19.
Yeah,
That's not
But
as
it's
weird.
still illegal.
it's like, yeah, no.
You're still robbing the cradle.
That's why I think that like this book was initially written as like a 20-year-old was the character, and then they changed it to sell copy.
It does, after you said that the book was less disgusting.
Yeah,
Like, it was less creepy than how old are they originally going to be? 16? Fucking weird.
yeah,
You know, like, it was. Now, moving on to, like, the differences of the past, is I do love the fact, like, the root craft and the ancestral
Oh, yeah.
magic. I do like the way that wove into it.
oh yeah.
Like, but then because of
The world, this
the
yeah,
order,
this
the order only being their form of magic, they didn't imagine anything else could exist. There's Shadowborn, and there's
everybody else. Yeah,
The
Yeah.
legend, right?
there's Legendborn, and then there's everybody else. Yeah,
yeah. And
Yeah,
so by their own hubris, like they missed a whole bunch of stuff. You
Yeah.
know, and here Bree coming in able to do stuff. She resists the mesmer. She's able to protect herself from Shadowborn. She's able to redo mesmers in some of the ways. She's able to heal. Like all of this like natural, like healing magics.
breathe fire.
Well, that's the blood. That's the blood crab.
Bloodcraft. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the blood crab. And then it's like, the story was woven together very well, where it's like each action of somebody in the past, and what's the actions of the characters in the past in an attempt to control a member of Bree's lineage ended up empowering Bree further.
Yeah.
Which I thought that was a very interesting character development, because it took like the struggles that they went through and the injustices heaped upon them and made them into a more dynamic creature as it went
Yeah.
on, by literally empowering them with stronger rootcraft or like blood magic.
yeah,
And to me, I mean, like, if there's going to be a trauma response, tons of magical power is pretty boss.
yeah. Right. That's just what unlocks it or whatever. It's like the X-Men or whatever.
Yeah, that's like every superhero show where like his true powers unlocked by getting the shit kicked out of him.
Yeah. I really liked this was another one of those books that had like a really cool like world to it and a lot like the magic and stuff. And it was just like another
Very first world, like it felt
yeah.
you could go there and touch it.
Yeah. It was like I said, it was another one of those books where it's like the world in this book is amazing. I want more of it. And then every time they ruin it by going back to, oh, let's go back and talk about what Bree thinks about all this now. And I'm like, no, go back to the magic stuff. I don't care about 16-year-old girl problems. Like, go back to the magic.
Are you Team Nick or are you Team Cell?
So
I don't think there is a Team Cell.
Of course
there
Like a
is
Team Edward.
100%.
So that's whoever.
Also, technically, Nick is like her like great like he's like eighth cousin like twice removed. So there's that whole
There
thing.
you go. Even more so.
No.
What is that one where they're banging siblings?
That's not the most.
Mortal Instruments.
No,
Mortal Instruments, they bang their family members.
That is not the most problematic romance line that I've seen in
Yeah.
YA.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, are you talking about Mortal Instruments?
he asked me if I wanted to do that, and I was like, no. Fundamentally, I cannot support a book whose main plot device several times is incest.
I was gonna say like this book. I was like, oh, okay, they made it like eighth removed or whatever, so that it's
Yeah.
Because they don't, like, he's not descended, he's descended from the mom.
Nobody's sleeping with anybody right now. Who cares?
He's not,
They're just making weird faces at each other and like light kissing.
so.
they're not related.
Heavy petting. Yeah.
19 hours into Akatar. Favor's been sheathed 400 different times.
I'm going to presume that Missy has done more reading on the series, and I got
No, she had just read this book too. The rest of
never
us.
read this series. Yeah.
All right.
No, I
always
tried
going to
to
presume.
nice because I thought that Ben would like it because it was based
I
on
did.
cancer.
I did. I like I said,
No bone dancing.
I got
It was too young that like there wouldn't be a lot of sex.
yeah.
So it wouldn't harm his delicate sensibilities.
I don't know why you guys think that I'm just it was the language in Akatar that fucked it. It was like I didn't care if there's fucking
There's a baby present, you pervert.
All right, so I always just assume that Missy has read into these series, but since none of us know, I made the presumption that that Cell is like that line of the triangle will be expanded upon in future books.
Oh yeah.
I got the huge vibes that they're gonna smolder.
Yeah, because the whole the whole second book is them going to be trying to get Nick back, and they're going to be all like tight together.
They're gonna get close together.
Yeah.
I would honestly be surprised if the wording of this book series does not lead to somebody like the way that they went it. They kept everything kind of topical, and the story drove it more. The relationships did drive it, but not the sexual part of it.
Yeah.
It was more like the friendship bonds, a little bit of interest, but nobody actually got. It's not like the other YA books were like, as soon as they see him, the guy's like, "I'm old," and then his pants fall off and she dies on it.
No.
Nothing like that. Like, it's just, there was a lot more story driven as opposed to like sex. And
Yeah. A story with interesting world building and characters despite a delusional, passive protagonist. Stop writing me.
That was not me. That was not me. But that is completely how I feel about this book.
This feels like deja vu, but I'm gonna.
I feel like we had another great world building one that the protagonist sucked too.
It was
This is deja vu. I'm gonna say it again. This is not the worst YA protagonist.
No, it's not
At all.
What was the one that was phenomenal?
Quit talking over Brendan.
Sorry, I apologize, Brendan.
I love the different cultural perspective, and apparently, I think it's called Black Magical Girl. It's actually a YA genre now. This is my introduction to it, so I like.
I'm kind of here for it. I like it.
Yeah, cultural perspective. King Arthur, Arthurian legend. That's gonna draw me in. I kind of got Iron Druid vibes a little bit.
It did. Yeah.
Yeah. So just getting yourself in the YA mindset and thinking of it as like anime or a CW show, it really helped me to read it. I told Ben I had to actually kind of adjust to all the names being shortened.
Yeah.
But other than that, it was enjoyable. I haven't read YA seriously start to finish in a long time, other than like through this book club. So I thought for YA it was a fresh perspective and I enjoyed it.
Yeah. It was definitely not the worst YA book we've read. Yeah. Like I said, but because like I said, once I've like
Review you get from Ben.
I like I said, once I reframed it in my head, because I remember you told me one time that they do that a lot, where they write these books and then they'd like lower the age to make it a YA book, and so that it'll sell more.
Well, so there's still navigating what it is, because before it was young adult and fiction, right?
Yeah.
Like there wasn't a space in between, and
Yeah.
now there's this space in between that's called new adult.
Yeah.
That is this kind of in the middle,
Yeah.
Age where you're not quite a woman, not
Yeah.
a girl,
Yeah.
not quite a woman.
The song.
I like the song. But like it's that middle space.
Mm-hmm.
But those books, that new adult, they're still being shelved with like
YA. Yeah.
eventually, right? So like Akatar is on shelves next
As
to
new adult, but it's like right next to all the stuff where it's like this should not be given down. It's like, yeah.
So it's an interesting space, and so like I thought, like I didn't, outside of just like seeing it on Book Talk and hearing good things, like outside of that, like being like, oh, I want to read that.
Yeah.
Honestly, I used to get a book subscription box called the Bookish box, and they had T-shirts. You could get bookish T-shirts, and I grabbed it out of my drawer, and they had sent one that was Legendborn, and it was my pick, and I was like, "Huh, what about this?" That's why I picked it.
Nice. Yeah, once I reframed this book in my head, I had a much more enjoyable experience with it. Once I stopped, I was like, no, she's not 16, she's 19 now. So, and then that's when you'll notice that's probably when I stopped bitching about the book because I was like, okay. It took a while to. All right, fine.
So was he.
Yeah.
That is very.
That's our default tone. That's our default mode. Just bitching.
It was, but I'll give it. I do agree with Ben. This book sucked in the beginning. I did not care for it.
The beginning was hard.
She had a chip on her shoulder for damn near everything. You know, no matter what it was. And there was one.
But it does start off her chip is valid, right?
Yeah.
It starts off with her getting arrested, and the guy's like, "Well, I guess you're here for affirmative action."
Before that even happened, she had a chip on her shoulder, though.
He's like, "Your hair is badass," and she's like, "It's because I'm black," and she just stormed off, and you're like, maybe it was just a compliment, but then you got to realize, you're learning a character that is completely different from myself. I've never been a girl. I've never been black. I don't know anything about any of the things that they have to deal with. So once you take that into you're taking the perspective of somebody who is completely different. I am a white male. I've been a white male my entire life. I don't know any other way to be. And now I'm reading a story about you can find common grounds with a Caucasian female story because you can be like, well, I know that part of whiteness, but I've never been a girl. I don't know anything about being a girl or being black or any of the prejudices that come in and things. And so you think, well, I've complimented people's hair before. I never meant it racist. It doesn't mean there's a bunch of other people that do. Yeah. So you have to deal with these
the microaggressions. Yeah.
Never cross your mind ever. Just because you yourself wouldn't do it doesn't mean that they don't have to deal with it. Yeah. And so once you start realizing that this character is navigating the world that you have no connection to, you do not know what they're dealing with, what their problems or their struggles are in any way, you kind of just stop and then go on the journey.
Yeah.
But it's really hard to get in that card in the beginning because that chip on her shoulder is really
she was not likable at the beginning of the book.
No, not at all.
Because I'm like, what do you like? I was like, her and the friend, her acting haughty about the friend being pissed at her, was infuriating. I was like, yeah, she's mad at you. You got her in trouble. She's gonna be pissed. Also, you're going out to and not coming home. You're the only person she knows on campus. Why do you think she's pissed at you? And finally they resolve it more than halfway through the book. But the first half of the book, all she does is bitch about about Alice, and I'm like, she's your one friend, and you're just toss her to the curb basically, and you're being kind of a bitch to her. So
then you gotta think, 16. How many times did you have a friend that you got into a fight with? You're like, guess we're not friends anymore.
Never.
And well, that would make sense because you're weird.
That would make sense because you didn't have friends.
Ow! Wow! Ouch!
I mean, my children, I don't know, he and his best friend, they have falling out, so we're never friends anymore.
Yeah.
All right, and 4 hours later, we're done. Wait, you just got to tell me you're never talking to this dude ever again. So you're like, yeah, well, that was 4 hours ago. Now we're best friends again.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay.
You know.
It captured being a angsty.
Yeah.
Yeah, very well.
Right?
Yeah.
Girl.
I don't know about the girl, but I do know that it definitely the insecurity of the teenager. I was sitting there, I did try to put a little bit of myself, what was I like as a 16? And I fell in love with a different girl in my class every week. I mean, there was the one constant girl that was my number one crush, but then in her orbit, were like 17 little moons of other crushes. So she was like Jupiter, and then like 54 other rotating bodies. And I was like, she's kind of attractive. None of them ever came to fruition, just so you know. So
Yeah.
It was a 64-person failure. But
Someone said yes.
someone said yes.
Ben knows of my good friend Tyler going all the way back to high school, and he had
That was your crush?
No, his sister. And she was older than us. She was a senior when I think we were sophomores, and she was always going through boyfriend drama and friend drama, and she was very active in school and everything, and we observed that tangentially. But Tyler and I were like Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly and Step Brothers. It's like, you like Mortal Kombat?
You guys
like
put
Mortal
your
Kombat?
testicles on each other's equipment?
Sure. Are we best friends? Okay. And he's like, hey, let's just play disc golf and talk about video games and anime, and just kind of like done.
We
So
just become best friends? Yes.
Yeah, but that's not interesting in terms of a narrative.
Yeah,
So
that's fair.
the perspective of like, I don't want to say it's expected or the norm for there to be more drama from a female high school perspective, but I did observe that from Tyler's sister. That's more interesting to me than my experience in high school, which was, if I had friends, I in some cases would overlook things that you should raise red flags about just so that I wouldn't lose friends. That's toxic, and that's, and it's also not very dramatic.
Not healthy,
Yeah.
I also think the younger generation are far more willing to like bring up stuff that we would have just let go.
Yeah.
They're probably more emotionally healthy because they're more informed, because technology is at their fingertips.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. You were bringing up, she's like 16 but coding older. This generation, I mean, I'm used to reading YA from a millennial perspective. These kids, for the year and a half I tutored high school juniors and seniors approaching ACT, a lot of it was in the middle of COVID, and they just wanted to talk. So the first 15 minutes of our tutoring session, they just needed to dish to somebody. And the content that they go through on their phones, and the drama, and the lack of socialization, the anxiety levels, and the being illiterate of the world around them and being up to date are in astronomical levels compared to us. And so I almost was like, being in the newer generations, they're probably just exposed to so much more than we were.
Yeah. That's fair. That actually makes a lot of sense. Maybe that's why she codes older than that. That could explain some things.
Yeah, I think this came out in 2020. I want to say so. Like, it would have been written before, but I do think it does ring true. I don't. This is going to shock you, but I am a girl.
Well,
no fucking way. What?
Yeah,
it's a surprise because you're so
what? Oh my god! The shocking turn of events. There's only 3 penises on this.
She didn't bother me, right? Like, she didn't bother me like she bothered you. Like, same with Feyre, like Diana. Like, these are people who are foreign to you, right?
Yeah.
And it's hard, and they are so foreign to you. And this is not being mean.
I was like, are you calling me sexist? Is that what's going on right now?
Foreign, like, their thought processes are so foreign to you.
Yes, it's alien.
Hard for you to put yourself in their shoes or sympathize or empathize or whatever the case may be, because at the end of the day, Ben, you just want to shake them for being dumb.
Yes.
And I can remember feeling that way.
Yeah.
And so I think fundamentally, maybe you haven't felt similar ways, and so that's why you struggle with these.
Yeah. I think that's definitely some of it. Like, it's not like I don't get like why I'm like pull yourself together, get through the shit. like
stop it.
Just do something. Don't just be like,
yeah, I'm so sad.
I'm like, stop. It's not even like stop being sad. It's just like, come on, like, you could be sad and just like fucking deal with the problem. Like, yeah. I'm trying to remember.
I do think, like, unlike most where you feel like they're just a trope,
Yeah.
This one felt like there's some serious development.
It was definitely like a coming of age sort of novel.
Yeah.
Like, you saw her like discover her heritage. You find her like sort of like reconnecting with her roots, so to speak, and all kinds of stuff. And it's like the end of the book, I was like wrapped. Like the last like few hours of it, when like she's actually doing stuff instead of just moaning about it. I was like, I was all in. Like,
yeah, it was definitely a slow build to where you're like, okay, any fucking day now,
right?
You know?
Yeah.
And she just kind of like jumped into it. You're like, okay, I get this. You know, I understand.
I loved her, like her and her dad at like the brunch place. That scene where he was basically like, I don't know what your problem is, but come on. It's like we're all dealing with shit.
It was very much like how you talk to your own child.
Yeah.
I'm so used to the dad
Oh.
being the. That was probably just.
Oh.
Yeah.
And we're back.
I know.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm so used to the dad character being the best character in YA. Like I remember.
Yeah, it's always the case.
I remember reading Twilight and being like, her dad is the best character in these books.
Yeah.
And he was the best character in the movies. That was a good moment for me.
Yeah, because I could just feel like the dad's frustration with like, he doesn't know what to do. His like daughter's like pushing everyone away, and like he's like, I'm trying to let her be herself, but she's fucking up. Like,
well, and like his thoughtfulness to be like, it's time, you need to see a therapist, but this is like, you know, I found one that,
I found someone that
she looks like you, like things like that are like really important, right?
Yeah.
Like, and so
Somebody
like
with common ground,
yeah, like, and so to her, like that was, I think, a moment of like,
yeah,
okay, you know, and then it worked out, and it's
yeah,
a little bit of a plot device, right?
Yeah.
But like still good, like still useful,
right. Yeah, I don't know if you heard Missy, but I was talking about how like one of my favorite scenes in the book was her and her dad at like the Waffle House or whatever.
Yeah.
Or the brunch place, and him just being like, you gonna make me pull it out of you, or you gonna tell me? It's like, I know something's wrong, I don't know what it is, but we're gonna talk about this. We're gonna sit here till you talk about this. Like,
yeah. And I heard Charlie
we are feeling that
Charlie was one of the best characters of Twilight as well.
Yeah.
We are feeling the trying to guide teenagers.
Yeah.
Very, very deeply here.
Yeah.
Right now. Like, try to be like, what's wrong? Nothing. I don't even know.
Hey, go put on
You don't
different
know.
pants.
Hey.
Hole right by your private area.
We can
I can see your whole dick right now. Go put on something else.
But yeah, I thought it was.
Mm-hmm.
I liked it. Like,
yeah.
Like, and I thought I would like it going in, so I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't surprised, right?
Yeah.
Like, it like again, like it felt good. Like it felt like, you know, a good story. I would read the second one,
Mm-hmm.
even if, you know, Ben and his doppelganger reviewer don't find the characters lackluster, but the world is good.
Yeah, I was really annoyed.
The second one. The cliffhanger was too big. Now I have to know.
Yeah.
What's going on.
I was like, we have to know what happens to Nick.
Reel this in.
Literally, like the last 5 minutes. Sorry, didn't mean to cut over you. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
No, they reel us in.
They did. I was like, fuck. Now that she's actually a likable, it took so long to make her a likable character and for her to like come into her own, so to speak, and then finally like she's like being a badass, like she's got Arthur in her head and stuff, and like.
Wait, so it's a 19-hour book, right?
Right.
Ben, you spent probably
most of the book hating her.
Probably 16 hours, 17 hours being like, this bullshit. Joel would go up and down. Like,
Yeah.
He's like, I don't like
No. That's what.
Like,
that was what was hard about this. It was hard for me to get through this book because you had top parts of this book that were so good, and then we get like back into like the drama stuff, and it was like an entirely different book.
Yeah.
And it was so hard to get through because it was like, can we just keep with like the stuff happening, not just this like I'm gonna mope around for a week or whatever, like it was just that was making it harder is because the high points of this book were so good, and then like it had dipped back down, and I was just like, we're back to this again, like we're back to After Bree, like I was just like, can we like you're. I don't know if I'm making sense, but like
no, you are. I got it.
How you'd like skip so when she was doing the trials, right? Like
it was awesome.
Working, like I liked that, and I was like thinking she would like be if she's brand new, right? They're gonna give her the training, they're gonna gloss over it, but it's gonna feel authentic.
We got
that time.
We got a little montage,
JK. Like 7 days, and you're like, what? Like she can't even hold her sword. Like, what are you like?
That was a little bullshitty. Like,
Like, so there's like pros and cons, but
what kind of like built her up that part? A lot of that as like she's already like a natural athlete sort of thing. So some of it was okay, and like
she's like my ankles hurt from like doing the training. Like, like
my whole body hurts. Yeah. But yeah, there's parts of like that where I was like, hell yeah, this book's awesome. And then and then we get back to like the little petty drama stuff where I was like,
Can we also talk about how zoologically rich hell apparently is?
Yeah. That's one thing with the world building I was so annoyed with was like hell bears, hell hounds, hell foxes, hell cats, hell cougars. Yeah, there was a hell cougar. And then the hell bear.
Hell lady trying to find the younger hell lad to hang
out. Like.
The one thing I wished is the monsters would be closer, the Shadowborn would be closer to like Abala.
Classical demon,
Like demons, like, because Ben and I.
There's an imp.
Yeah, but Ben and I have gone on a complete tangent about like the demonology and medieval magic books and stuff, and how the demons have like really weird bodies and 4 hands and 3 legs and all those weird.
We could do that book next. Give me a reason to read it.
But we go off on like hermetic and historical magic and witchcraft and stuff. I was kind of hoping that it was going to be different than just like Hellmon, I'll call them. But I was all about Hell Cougar. I was like, that was cool.
The hell bears, the hell foxes, the hell. Yeah.
I haven't read it yet because I've been reading other things.
That doesn't sound like an audiobook that you could throw on. I feel like
no, definitely not. Because I also have the original translation
in Latin, right?
No, this is the original like Middle Old English.
Middle,
okay.
That would be a lot of fun.
Yeah. So King James wrote a fucking book about demons and witchcraft, and
back in his cooler years,
right?
He decided to start whoring around.
No, wasn't that just a
King James the First?
He was gay.
Might have been.
Well, he didn't have any male, or am I wrong? King James the First. Is that?
I'm pretty sure he put that out. Like his people put that out because he had a male lover, and they were like, "No, you know what you should do? Hunt witches."
Yeah. Well, there's at the time there was like a huge like spate of like witch hunts of like they were just like murdering women all over the place. So I was like, all right, we need to codify this so we can actually figure out who the witches are and not just start murdering people just because you don't like them. Like, here's the rules.
Malefictorium or whatever.
Malus Maleficarum, yeah.
Yeah, where it's just pretty much, do you like that guy? No?
Yeah.
Bread.
It's in Wikipedia.
The First of England.
Yeah.
The most prominent homosexual figure in the early modern period.
Yeah. It's hilarious to me how the Southern Baptist Convention so rigidly adheres to the King James version of the Bible.
Because they're all mostly gay.
And they never bring up
and he's like super gay, but also like wrote like one of the foremost treatises of the time on like magic.
You can do important things and be gay. Like country Christian
I also want to blow your mind in that he probably didn't write it.
Aww.
Put his name on it.
That could be fair.
Now my worldview is ruined.
What if? But it's cooler if he wrote it.
We honestly think that he was sitting around all day and transcribing the Bible from Latin to English. Probably.
No, he was taking down his lover.
Yeah.
What do you think?
He rolled that in between dick breaks.
He's getting. Yeah.
He's like, oh, you need a 20-minute refractory time? I can write the book of Job. Let's do this.
Let me sign my name on that real quick and get back to what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Get back to who I'm doing. Bring me the paper and your butt.
Bring me the baby oil.
We have it.
She's going to be aware, and she'll have no problem with gay. She's an open-minded baby.
Legendborn, like there was that part with Cell, like who, like the sexuality seems to be a little bit fluid in this, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
Like,
But it was casual.
Yeah.
It wasn't like shocking or anything.
She's like, oh yeah, like when Cell was like, yeah, I loved Nick, and then she's like, wait, do you like love him? It's like who doesn't love Nick? And she's like, you know what? Fair.
Actually,
like,
yeah, go ahead.
No, in the beginning with Alice, like, oh, who's your type? Like,
yeah,
like it was very casual. It was very like, organic. It didn't feel like it too showy or like anything. I thought it approached like topics
like you would with a friend that is gay. Yeah, like
it's like,
it wasn't like we're talking about gay stuff over here, and I'm okay with it.
It was like this is my friend Alice. She is a lesbian. It was like oh, find any cute girls yet? It was like super like chill.
It reminded me of Schitt's Creek. My mom is very conservative, very traditional, and
you like Schitt's Creek.
And Schitt's Creek approached LGBT orientations as if the default is to accept these people, and that is the norm, and it is normal to just accept all orientations and all beliefs.
Well, it's the wine, not the label, right?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly, and just that this is normal rather than saying this should be normal.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom watched that show with me and was crying at the finale because she loved the character so much. Because it's not like this is what you should do. It's this is normal, and this is the default.
Yeah.
And this book reminded me of that. It's not like, oh hey, this should be what you approve of, and this should be what is right.
Yeah.
This is the norm.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it also did a wonderful job of explaining for people not familiar with different viewpoints. Like, maybe some other people see things in a different way.
Yeah.
I think it was an excellent book.
That's
the beginning, but
yeah.
All right, so Ben, scale. What's your scale? Diane, Akatar, Discovery of Witches. Where are we?
I would say like there were rough parts of this book, but overall I did enjoy it. The world building was great. I'm just gonna repeat whoever that smart guy is that did that Google review, but like I agree. It was like there's a kind of like the protagonist was like wanting at times, but like overall the world building was really good. The characters were really good. I didn't feel like sometimes you have a bunch of these like NPCs, so to speak, that are in a book that like they kind of like blend into each other. Like all the characters were very distinct. They had distinct personalities. It was enjoyable at times. And once I reframed it and made it less creepy, and I was like, and stopped thinking about like why is this 16-year-old wandering around a college campus at night alone? The book got a lot better. I enjoyed it. I'd say better than Akatar.
That's a low bar.
That's
for you.
Not really. I mean, but like, so like, it wasn't the word. Okay. Oh,
I should have said Akatar.
Okay. What's my scale? Yeah. So Akatar to Poison. Okay. Not as good as Poison Study.
No, Poison Study was.
Fantastic.
I definitely.
You should have started with this.
So, like, is Poison Study a 10 and then Akatar is a 1?
Guys?
All right.
Yeah, on your scale.
I'd put it at. I'll give it like a 7.5.
That's fair.
Yeah. If that's my scale, I'd give it a 7.5. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd give it an 8. Missy said an 8 too. So.
Yeah.
Brendan?
Yeah, I'd have the caveat of no, it's YA. So
Yeah.
if you enjoy YA, if you enjoy like magical girl anime, if you enjoy CW shows, have that mentality coming in. It gave me an excellent introduction into other cultural perspectives.
Mm-hmm.
It was very educating in that way. If you love Arthurian legend, that'll bring you in. If you watch a lot of anime, you're used to having problems with the lead character and loving supporting characters.
Yeah.
But I love Henry IV Part 1, and Hal growing as a character is the strength of that play. So, your protagonist growing as a character, I think, is a strength, not a weakness.
Yeah.
I'd stick it with a solid 7.5 to 8 if you enjoy YA. Fresh perspective, fresh ideas. I thought it was fun.
Yeah. Never would have picked this up off a shelf. Just gonna throw that out there.
I didn't.
No, you did not.
Thank you, Missy, for.
Yeah. So with that, we're getting overtime here. Brendan, it's your pick this week.
Yes. So I'm giving you guys a curveball. We are going non-fiction. So we're going
The Bible.
Yeah. Bible. We're starting with Genesis. Buckle up, kids.
James Bible.
You said it was not fiction, thank you.
Not fiction. Oh, I see what you did.
We are going. We're not opening.
We're not opening that can of worms.
We're not opening that can. We'll be reading "Killers of the Flower Moon: The Osage Murders and the Birth of the FBI" by David Grant.
Yep.
So this
Upcoming Scorsese movie.
This is Martin Scorsese's new movie. This is nonfiction. If you want to listen to audiobook, you can, but it comes with a lot of pictures in it. So it has a lot of diagrams and pictures of the actual historical individuals.
What's it called?
Killers of the Flower Moon.
Yeah, Killers of the Flower Moon. It covers the birth of the FBI and J. Edgar Hoover's first big case. This is very socially conscious. It covers murders of the Osage Indians. They were forced from their original ancestral lands into a reservation in Oklahoma, and found that the rocky, unarable land was a massive oil reserve. And so the Osage Indians became fantastically wealthy, and they started getting murdered. And so the FBI had to figure out what was going on. It can be perceived as depressing. It reads very quickly. But it's very socially conscious material. It can be very depressing. It covers relations, race relations, and the indemnities on Native Americans and that sort of thing. But it's extremely informative, fantastic nonfiction, and will be a good primer into Scorsese's next movie.
But you're suggesting that we should read it as opposed to listen to it.
Yeah, I think you're like giving us homework.
Yeah.
I love history.
But
there's a lot of.
There's pictures.
Yeah. That's gonna be a trick because most of us are busy and can't read stuff. But
it's perfectly doable with audiobook, but I'm just letting you know there are diagrams and photos. So.
All right.
And it's a fast read. So
Okay.
Some of us don't like your childless, carefree lifestyle, Brendan.
It's a fast read, I'm telling you. So,
yeah, as a person with no children.
I got pool maintenance.
That's the exact same thing. Raising a human, cleaning a pool. That's great. I can't just put a blanket over my daughter for 4 months at a time and be like, well, it's good.
I told you today that you're like, you're a juggler, and I just like the way yo-yos look. And you go, someone's got to do it. So you can't.
And you're like, I'll teach that. You're like, I'll teach that cocky scheduling prick. Here's hope. Bren's got graduate school and a child.
Not yet. I've got 2 weeks before I got to worry about graduate school again. So.
Well, you have 2 weeks to read this book. I want 5 pages, double spaced.
Fuck off.
Oh, yeah. So Missy's like, I'm in.
All right. All right. Thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you again on Thursday.